The Peugeot Boxer is today in Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. With Thomas. This year, Peugeot Boxer is a sibling of the Fiat Ducato or the Citroen Jumper. So they are all three siblings basically. Today we are focusing on the Peugeot Boxer in this, well, not in a usual white commercial vehicle style, but in this imperial blue. And we tell you everything you need to know for private use, for example, if you're moving, if you want to transport some motorcycles, motocross use, for example, and also if you need it for a commercial use, for example, goods delivery, some handcraft and e-commerce packages, whatever. We'll tell you everything you need to know about exterior, interior and the driving of this car. Let's go in Autogefühl in full HD, full screen and full length. So with Peugeot Boxer you could either refer as for boxing or maybe also to a box, which we see in the loading compartment. And significant for the front, for the Peugeot Boxer and also the Citroen or the Fiat version, is this front lip, the big windscreen and then this lower front lip, very short indeed, and we'll also take a look at the engine very soon. And here the Peugeot version has the Peugeot badge here, also the special color, and a very wide grille, almost a little bit normal passenger car-like. And that's also a trend that we see in the recent years, that those light commercial vehicles come closer to passenger cars. We'll also have some more proofs when driving this car later on. The A-team, the Autogefühl team, is right here for you with a side profile. And interesting is that this vehicle is available in different lengths. Starting with meters, it's 5 meters, 540, 6 meters or 640. This is here the second stage, the 540 length. And in foot it would be around 16 to 21 foot. So this is the variation you got. And also the height can be varied. So this one is also the second height, and therefore this one is called L2H2. Length 2, height 2. The heights are 225 in meters, that would be like this, then 250 as it is here right now, and there's even 4 meters available. I mean, where should that go? I'm not really sure, but already at 250 you should watch out in some cities where you have very narrow bridges that sometimes you cannot pass them, but overall this is a very well usable length. Other than that, I mean, there's not really a styling or design in the side profile. It's all about usability. Also, of course, not any huge or aluminum alloys. Very big side mirrors, you'll see them also when we drive the car, and practical door handles, everything pretty solid. And also if we go further here, you see the rail for the side door. Very important to have that one here, of course, and it's all fairly easy to control, to open and close it. Also the rear has to be basically square. What is special here? Well, we do have a rear view camera that is mounted right up there. Pretty interesting and very useful. And you might wonder, why is Autogefühl doing light commercial vehicles? Well, some of you guys ask us for this, and those are really very frequent and important vehicles we also see and experience in our daily lives. And also, as for me, I used to have one of my first cars overall was a Opel Movano, and this was pretty much the same size, and I used to transport the motocross bikes with that one, so I'm pretty accustomed to those vehicles. This one here started about 30,000 euros in Germany, taking that one as a reference, and that's about 5,000 euros cheaper than, for example, Volkswagen Crafter or a Mercedes Sprinter. So this is the basic price difference, and this one here can also go up to 44,000 euros with some extra equipment, and if you pick the bigger versions. More of the extra equipment we will see in the interior. The diesel engine we'll soon show you can be fueled up here, 2-liter diesel, and this is here for the AdBlue, for the SCR, you know, against those dangerous particles. You need this AdBlue, and the consumption is supposed to be 1.5 liters of AdBlue on 100 kilometers, and the official diesel consumption 6 liters, but that one will be at least about 2 liters higher. By the way, doesn't it look a little bit like this D smiley, you know, this smiley, and LED daytime running lights we got as well. But we were heading onto the engine, and this is the 2-liter diesel, 110, 130 or 160 horsepower available. And it's really funny, it's such a huge vehicle. You can put this engine, you know, on such a short basis on the front. That is very interesting, and I mean, you can see very much here, also the air intake there. And yeah, consumption we've already covered. That's it. Now to the interior. I mean, solid door handles we have here. By the way, there's also a key available, of course. And that's very interesting because you could, well, you have to use it manually. You could also use it manually here, but you don't have to. Opening, closing, and the lower part here, this one here is just to open or close the cargo area. So the side door or the back door. And this is very good because I could, for example, close the car overall and then just open the cargo area, and then this one here is closed, but I could still access the cargo area while I maybe leave some valuables in the front. Interesting. This one here, I mean, it's a commercial vehicle, also a cheap commercial vehicle. It needs to have space here, a lot of space here inside the doors. That is important, and it's not so much about, you know, premium high class build quality. The windows work also with an automatic basis here, at least on the driver's side. This is also here, again, to close. When I have the ignition on, I can close the cargo area right here. This is good, you know, you don't want someone at the traffic light approaching your load, something like that. Then interior, the seats can be all like this, in leather red on the outside, just a small part, and cloth on the inside. Nice. And there's also a full leather red option available if you have maybe a job where you get dirty, maybe gardening work, and then you can easily wipe off that. Otherwise, the cloth seats offers more comfort. In the comfort package, you get this optional dampered seat, and handbrake is also on the left side always. Next to the dampered seat, there's also the AC in the comfort package. That is very important. And let me get inside. You see, at the moment, the seat is set up for 70 kilograms. You see here how it's dampered, very interesting, and this adds a lot to the driving comfort. I can tell you, especially on the long-term run, it reduces the pressure you get on your lower back. You can also adjust this seat in the front or in the rear. Then you can also change the turning angle. That's really funny. I didn't find out what this another button here in the front. I don't know what it does. I didn't see any action from that. So this one you have to turn the angle. Then this one here for the backrest. And the lower part I showed you already. And you can also adjust this seat here. You cannot see it here right now, it's on the right side. But you can also let it be adjusted to another size or to another weight of another driver. That would also be possible. But mainly it's about, you know, setting it once and then that's it. The seating position is high and upright, and I like that. That's comfortable also for tall people. You have no problem also with space here. Headroom, no question. And you have this command view, which is very important to have with this vehicle. And the most unique thing is, also if you compare it to some other transports, you see it's so much way in the front, and we've seen on the exterior that we got this short hood. You feel like you would be sitting on the front axle directly, and that's almost the case. And therefore it's also very flexible to turn it around in the front. Wheel helps you with the agility of this car. Steering wheel, this is the main difference in this car, because everything else with the Peugeot and the Citroen is pretty much alike. A Peugeot steering wheel here with some elegant contrasts right here. You have a good grip handle, also a good size, and it's fairly easy to control. And some hotkeys, for example, for the sound, voice control, or picking up the phone, which you have connected via Bluetooth. Simple instruments are per meter, then a digital screen for the consumption and the time, and daily drive, something like that, outside temperature and speed on the left part. That's it, keeping it simple. I do prefer versions which are available, which have a window right here. You can also see that it's almost stamped in here already. This one here is closed. Sometimes it's better to have it closed depending on the load you have, but I like to see through here. That's available if you like it. Then armrest we can have right here for the driver, and see here two co-drivers, and I've already tested thing with 3 adults here. I mean, here the 2 seats, it's not too comfortable if you sit like with 2 wide adults, but basically it works pretty fine for your work crew. You can also put that one down when someone is not sitting here for beverages, but that's a little bit too shallow for beverages, I think. And here you can put some notes on here and stick them for your next order delivery, for example. And the thing here, which we have here, is also built up in the front in the dashboard. There it is if you want to have your next deliveries held here with the papers. More storage space is really important. Seems like there's an airstream also coming out right here in the lower part. For example, here the length of a screwdriver, and then a glove box right there. What's that? Someone must have gotten something. Lower part with 2 adaptive beverage holders. They work pretty well and also keep the beverages tight. That's also important. Some more space here. USB port, aux in for you know, charging your phone. Then ashtray. Don't smoke, guys. Then 12-volt power supply. And here, what is also interesting, you can close the car. Well, it's not working at the moment because one door is opened, but you can close the car in the front from here also. And the cargo closing I showed you earlier. Then the temperature unit is a little bit cheaply done. Maybe it would have been a little bit better if they don't use this rubber stuff around there. AC on and off in the comfort package, and also where the vents are coming from. And then the small infotainment system. You can see that it's a Fiat mainly built here. The diesel is all Peugeot, but this one here, the TomTom GPS also, which is more in the Fiat style. You can see here, this is the map. No. Pretty basic. I mean, it does the job, having some basic GPS in there. And you can also connect your phone via Bluetooth. You can also stream the music. Sometimes the system does not recognize the phone, and maybe the next time you start the car it does work again, so not 100% perfect. And the standard radio, no DAB is included in here. Rear view camera. You also hear a beeping sound on the outside, especially you also hear it on the inside, but on the outside you hear that special beeping sound to warn people, and then you can really see what's behind you very well to control. Also, especially in the lower side mirror, you can see where the car is ending, and there's our tripod, that you don't hit anything off the pavement, for example. So if you're on your way with 3 fellow workers, the smaller one should probably take the middle seat here, because it can be a little bit limited with the knee room, but it still works for me. 1m86 or 6'1" if you're not subscribed to Autogefühl. That's my height. The outer seat again, a lot of space and also very comfortable, I must say. So also maybe, you know, whole working day won't be a problem. Someone already touched something here, just, you know, so as you wonder, it would usually be black from a standard works equipment. Sliding door, and well, what did we do here? We put some boxes in the car because I thought it would be a little bit boring to show an empty transporter. And you see, we also put some blankets on the ground because we also take care of our test vehicles, that we don't damage them in a slight way, even if commercial vehicles. So interesting thing is that the loading area, depending on the size, can be 8 to 17 square meters. And you can get also different grounds here. This one here is not really sure if it's a plastic compound or has wood in it, but it's, I mean, scratch resistant, also very durable, and also good, for example, for motorcycles, and especially those ones here, those fixations for tension belts. Well, I think I need to have the screwdriver again to, no, there it is. So those fixations here for the tension belts, you can put one there, and you see also on the other sides there are also always those fixations, and this is really helpful for any load you can possibly have here. And you can also, of course, access the car from the rear with those split doors that also a pallet transporter, you know, could drive right in here. That's a very handy solution. Also from the inside, you've seen here, you can open it here from the inside again, and it's also quite well protected. Here, this one, again the other way, where I can open the door. And so it's also very handy entry right here. And with this L2 version, you see the inside height is about 190, and I can easily stand here. So that would be also the perfect size if I would buy such a vehicle, because the length fits with the motorcycles. I'm not sure, the one I had a couple of years back was maybe a little bit longer, but other than that came quite close to it. And here again you can fix the belts. And we've also had this moving boxes set up for you here to show you that, for example, in a row you can have 5 moving boxes in a row and about 4 to 5 wide next to each other. And with this version here you can also put, let's see, 3, 4, 5 over each other, and that shows you how much space you really have here. So a very versatile car. So here in this view you can see again that this would be the window part if we would have a glass window right here, and there's some more space on top of that, so it cannot fall down even if you're braking. That is also rather secured. And of course, for example, for handcraft you can also have some built-in solutions, for example for tools and stuff, that you can you know, pull them out quite easily. So there are a lot of possibilities, definitely. And you see it here, there's also light here in the rear. It's also, you can put it out and also have it in the middle position. That's always opened when the doors are also opened. And we start our driving part here in a turning circle. And the interesting thing about this, I mean, you'll have such city situations, especially in goods delivery, and you see, when I have the steering wheel totally turned, there's a very narrow turning circle, and then, oh, there's an obstacle, I have to go back, do it like this. I have the rear view camera, and it's also giving this beeping sound to warn other people outside. You can see where anything is ending, and then you see it is not that hard to turn that car around, because you really feel like it's moving exactly, you're sitting over the front axle, and that's almost the case. And even when people are involved, I can very exactly steer. Also check the side mirrors, which are really big, so don't have a hard time doing that here. First gear is just for, you know, the first few meters, then you already turn up, and now I'm below 30, I'm already in third gear. So the first 2 gears are just, you know, for starting everything up. Then you usually stay in the higher gears already. 2-liter diesel engine we're driving here, and as I said earlier, there are 3 variations. We're driving the strongest one here, and I can also recommend you to go for that one if you have heavy load. If you don't have heavy load, then also the weaker versions will also do fine. Of course, I mean, it's always nice to have more power. Here again, another test. Actually, I want to go into the other direction, and sometimes I have some, you know, big sports cars and maybe big SUVs, and I'm really afraid of doing this U-turn here. But look at that. I mean, that was even a better turning circle than I have with some other passenger cars. Really impressive. Michelle is also amazed. Give us the thumbs in the camera. Thumbs in the camera, yeah. There we go. So that's really a nice thing about this vehicle, and I think one of the best parts if you consider goods delivery, especially, you know, all those e-commerce business going on today. There are a lot of drivers out there, and we also want to focus our review, I mean, on the needs of, you know, the professional drivers as well. So, but also, I mean, also private customers, for example, moving and renting such a car for a day. What is important for you? That you can easily get accustomed to such a vehicle, and that's the case here, I think. It's not too hard. I mean, yeah, it's a long vehicle. You have to get used to that if you're usually just driving passenger cars. But other than that, I mean, through those side mirrors, you have a good overview about everything happening there. Here in this case, we don't have a glass window behind us. That's also available for this vehicle, and then we would also have a normal back mirror that you can have a better impression, you know, looking after behind you. But also due to the split mirror, I can see what's, you know, very close to the car and below me, and the upper one gives me a greater overview. I think they have found a good solution for that. All of those 3 siblings, the Peugeot Boxer, the Citroen Jumper, and also the Fiat Ducato, they come very close in almost every respect. And I told you earlier, we also see this Fiat TomTom infotainment system here they've equipped. And well, I do have a Peugeot steering wheel here that changes a little bit, but I mean, the driving characteristics for all 3 vehicles are basically the same. That was the start-stop function. Rather short ways to shift. The diesel is a commercial diesel. You do hear it. The sound insulation is really not the best. You have to be aware of that. On the other hand, you have this very nice upright seating position and sits so high. It's really, you know, between a truck and a normal car. You can already feel like being king of the road, especially as I have this dampened seat here. You see that especially when I'm going over some bumps. And I've also been on the co-driver seat here and tried to compare it. How would it feel like if you don't have this optional dampened seats, which is included in the so-called comfort package? It's a AC plus the seat is in the comfort package, plus the dampened seat. And this does give you more comfort, definitely, and also saves you against, you know that the bumps push you in the lower back. That is very important on the long-term run, especially. You have to get used to it a little bit, because when you're going like up and down, and you have your foot on the brake or on the throttle, your foot might slip just a little bit, and this is a little bit strange in the first few meters. But then you get accustomed to it, and you can also solve this problem. You just don't realize it anymore somehow. Same thing is when you have your arm rested here, and you're driving, and the seat is going up and down like this. It can also not be that comfortable. So better when you have this dampened seat not to rest your arm on the left part. The consumption, by the way, is, as we're used to, higher than the official figure, because that's nothing about reality. The real consumption here is at the moment 8.9 liters, with an emphasis on city traffic. That means when you're driving rather Autobahn, motorway, then you can get it down 8, maybe even below 8 liters on the 100 kilometers. But as those vehicles are also used in city traffic, also short term, again for moving or also goods delivery, you have to be aware of that consumption. However, we had other normal passenger cars which were also in those consumption ranges, so I think it's still okay. As I said earlier, this is a true Peugeot diesel in this case, built in France, and over 500,000 times this engine has also been built in some other vehicles, so I think even more. So it's also a pretty common diesel, and therefore it's also said that it's quite durable. This sound is the Porsche in front of us now, it's not our sound. This is our diesel sound. And when you hammer the throttle here, that does give you good acceleration. However, I try to drive rather gentle always, because you know, I don't want to push the car too much around. Also considering the load we have, that's always important as well. So you don't always need the full power to that extent. Let's maybe drive into some more narrow areas here to show you when you're turning right. Yeah, I mean, there's still a chance that you can maybe miss some cyclists. You have to pay attention to that, definitely. So you have to look ahead always. That's, you know, when you see someone driving such a car on the road, you always have to be aware of, especially as a cyclist, maybe this guy really cannot see me. And so, you know, the bigger the vehicles are, then you can say, okay, try to think in this position, and, you know, try to think, you know, maybe somewhat this, keeping a little bit more distance, keep some space, and maybe don't expect the driver to see everything when, you know, 6 meters or something are behind him or her. And I mean, this mutual respect is always good in traffic. The steering, by the way, I mean, it's not a sports car, not direct steering, but I mean, it's light to control. Overall, I'm satisfied with it. You also saw this action I did around here, and overall, the vehicle gives you a good feeling. Even if you're driving in city traffic, you have no problem with it, especially if you got a little bit accustomed to driving such a vehicle. And here again, for example, another dead end. Turn it around, second gear maybe, totally no problem. Now I just let the wheel slide back, no power at all, so very easy to drive. And I think that is, you know, that is one of the main points of this vehicle. So going back to second gear. It could be more silent. I mean, yeah, it's in a commercial vehicle segment, but still you could work on that. And I'm really looking forward when we soon drive the all-new Volkswagen Crafter, how that one will behave to this one, because this is also one of the competitors, of course. Depending on how big your feet are, what might be one problem is the steering column in the lower area is open. So you can also see that when you're turning the steering wheel, and when you then have your foot on the clutch and you're turning the steering wheel all the way around, and your feet are, let's say, long and maybe also wide, as in my case, then the steering column is touching your shoes. That's a little bit irritating, especially, you know, some sneakers, they have this very wide bottom to give more flexibility as well. Yeah, you have to be aware of that. And first, what's that? Oh, nice thing, by the way. You know, I just stalled the engine just for a second. Didn't give enough throttle, but then you just put in the clutch And that's it, and the engine restarts. That's one of the nice safety or assistance features. We also have a side assist. Maybe I can test it on the motorway. We'll just hop over to the next motorway here to give you some more impression of that one. And other than that, besides the side, I mean, the blind spot monitor would be something cool for such a vehicle, surely. But another assistance system that is built in from the standard equipment is the hill, let's say hill start assist, because when you have that one in, maybe you learned it all in driving school when you want to start a vehicle and you stand at the hill and then the vehicle might roll backwards. Then you need to use the handbrake, which is on the left side here. But here in this case, and also with most of the other normal new passenger cars, you don't need that anymore because the handbrake is applied by the car itself electronically and automatically released as you accelerate. And that's the case also here. So even in the commercial segment here, the Citroen Jumper, the sibling, looked really the same. So you don't need to be afraid of rolling backwards with this vehicle. You don't need to use the handbrake yourself. Standard equipment, even in the lower trim levels of this car, that you have this accelerating help even when you're going uphill. It's also a nice thing. And we see that more and more assistance systems also go into these light commercial vehicles. And I think that's even more important because in this light commercial segment, I mean, those cars are even harder to control. You cannot see so much. So here maybe assistance systems are more important than with normal passenger cars, probably. You always have to be aware of you're moving a heavy car. You have to go slower, and also the time to reduce speed takes so much more time to reduce speed, of course, than especially when you got heavy load. So you always have to drive a little bit slower, try to foresee even more what other people are doing. I think that's something you really have to be aware of when driving such a vehicle. And maybe, for example, here, there are 2 lanes going on the next motorway, and at the moment I'm not really sure, is the left one also directly going to the motorway, or is it going in the other straight direction? If I was driving the Audi S4 Avant now, I would have gone to the left lane in the first spot. Oh, there's this guy playing. You can do that with that. Getting a yellow traffic light is possible with this car as well. Yeah, you see, here the left lane would have been possible, but I wasn't quite sure about that. With the S4, I was just go in the first row on the left side, out accelerate everyone, and then I'm in the first spot anyway, and I can pick the lane. With this one here, I know, maybe I would have need time to move on the right lane again. So just stay behind those other vehicles, stay in the right part, just relax a little bit, because I'm not that agile with that vehicle here. So I have to be aware of that. So motorway now. See, the acceleration is well enough to have good power to get on the motorway. I can show you some third gear, 70 to 100 maybe. Let's go now. Fourth. And 100. So it's really reasonable. Good power with this 2-liter diesel. Fifth gear now to let the car roll, rather. And even 6th gear is possible to bring down the RPMs to have a better consumption. 100 kilometers an hour now at about 2000 RPM. And well, sound installation wise, 100 kilometers an hour is fine for that vehicle, and I mean, you shouldn't drive too fast with it. I usually, also when I use such vehicles very frequently for my motorbikes, I try to ride like 100 to 120 on the motorway maximum. I know that's the maximum limit in most countries anyway, but in Germany you could go faster at some point, but usually it's not really useful to do it with such a vehicle. It gets too loud, and it's also too dangerous because you need, you to calculate how long is the distance to brake the car, and you know, it's just a matter of safety then. If I'm more flexible in a very sporty car with very good brakes, that's better to control then. But overall, also good feeling on the motorway, also with this dampened seat. So it's a you see it here. Well, it's just a funny feature. I can really recommend you to go for that one. Here again now. Really feeling like in a big truck you're driving that one. And again, a good overview. See all the vehicles approaching from behind. Let's get off here. The load we are carrying at the moment is, you know, some boxes there. We have quick them full to have some load, but of course we cannot simulate a very heavy metal load or something like that. And what is also available is for the rear axle, if you're not carrying the heaviest load. So there's two options. You can strengthen the rear axle for very, very heavy load. That is possible. And you can also have an air suspension at the rear suspension. That is also possible for about 1,500 euros extra. That might pay off for an additional comfort in riding, you know, if it's not too heavy, the overall load. So, I think the key feature is that the car is fairly easy to control, good to ride. The comfort is, especially with the seat here, also very good. That evens out for the maybe, let's say, I mean, there are surely better suspensions. And overall, although it's a huge vehicle, you basically have a fun command ride. Only negative points, I think we can conclude the diesel should be a little bit more silent, even for a commercial vehicle nowadays. Yeah, and I mean, there may be also some vehicles on the market now which give you, let's see, a more quality riding impression. But other than that, I think giving you a lot of different aspects in the driving part here, no matter if you, the seat or again played a role, no matter if you're a private customer or commercial customer. Hope you enjoyed that ride here with us. And now the conclusion, Peugeot Boxer, and of course this also pretty much accounts for the Fiat Ducato and the Citroen Jumper. It's a very attractive price for a simple transporter which gives you everything you need. It is really a fun ride, and I mean the exterior, it's not my absolute favorite because of this lower front lip. On the inside, very well usable, a simplistic interior but with everything you need in storage space, and also the basic connectivity infotainment in there, and also nice comfort options as for the assistance systems and also for this comfort seat. And in the rear we've shown you with those different lengths and also heights, we have a lot of flexibility and variety for all the possible suitable needs you have. Tell us your feedback about that vehicle, and we will soon also compare it to the Volkswagen Crafter in the new generation, which we will also drive, and tell us if you like to see some more light commercial vehicles. Of course, it doesn't mean that we show you any less passenger cars. This is just another optional we show you here on the Autogefühl. This is your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews, the #1 hub for all of the car news, features and the full reviews here on YouTube. Thanks very much for joining us. See you next time with Thomas or one of my colleagues. Bye.